Vanessa never asked Daniel to dinner. She told him, "Wear the navy blazer. Isabella's particular about first impressions." Daniel set down his coffee. "Isabella who?" "My business partner, the one keeping us afloat right now." Vanessa didn't look up from her phone. "Just be polite tonight. Don't talk too much business. Let me handle it." He almost asked why he was invited at all if he wasn't supposed to talk. He didn't. The restaurant was the kind that didn't print prices on the menu. Isabella Cruz was already seated when they arrived, mid-40s, trying to look mid-30s, a smile that never reached her eyes. She stood, took Daniel's hand a second too long. "So, this is the husband." "Daniel," he said. "I know." Her eyes moved over him like she was pricing furniture. "Vanessa talks about you. Not much, but enough." Vanessa laughed too quickly. "Isabella, please." They sat. Wine came. Business talk started. Funding rounds, a delayed shipment, some contract clause Daniel didn't understand and wasn't asked to. He nursed his drink and watched Isabella's hand find Vanessa's forearm twice in 10 minutes. Then Isabella leaned back, glanced at Daniel, and switched to Spanish. "Él entiende algo de esto? Does he understand any of this?" Vanessa didn't even blink. "No, ni una palabra." No, not a word. Daniel kept his face still, kept swirling his wine like a man bored of a conversation he couldn't follow. He understood every syllable. His grandmother had raised him until he was 11, Spanish before English. A part of his life Vanessa had never once asked about, because she'd never once asked. "Bien," Isabella said, smiling now, softer, hungrier. "Porque tengo una condición para el préstamo." Good, because I have a condition for the loan. Vanessa's jaw tightened. "Que condición?" What condition? Isabella's eyes slid back to Daniel, slow, deliberate, like he was something already purchased. "Esta noche, él es tuyo para dar." Tonight, he's yours to give. Vanessa didn't argue, didn't flinch. She looked at her husband sitting 3 feet away and said in the same easy tone she used to order dessert, "Está bien. Esta noche es tuyo." Fine. Tonight, he's yours. Daniel smiled and asked, in English, if anyone wanted to split the tiramisu. Vanessa smiled back, relieved. She had no idea what she'd just done. 15 minutes later, her face went pale, and it wasn't because of what Daniel said. It was because of what he did next. The tiramisu came. Daniel ate 2 bites and excused himself. "Restroom," he said, already standing. Vanessa didn't even look up. He didn't go to the restroom. He walked past it, out the side exit, into the alley behind the restaurant, and pulled out his phone. Sophia picked up on the second ring. "I need you to hear something," Daniel said. He played back the voice memo, the one he'd started recording the second Isabella switched to Spanish, phone flat against his thigh under the table. Silence on the line. Then, "Daniel, do you understand what she just agreed to?" "I understand every word of it. This isn't just messed up, this is—" Sophia stopped herself. "Okay, don't react tonight. Don't let them know you understood. Get back in there, act normal, and let me start pulling Isabella's company records. Something about a business partner who buys husbands as loan collateral isn't just gross, it's illegal. There's a paper trail somewhere." "I know." "Daniel," her voice softened. "Are you okay?" "No," he said simply. "But I will be." He walked back to the table smiling, sat down like nothing happened. Isabella had moved her chair an inch closer to his. Her hand landed on his forearm. "So, Daniel." Her thumb traced a small circle. "Tell me something. Do you even know what your wife does to keep this marriage funded?" "She works hard," he said. "I try to stay out of the business side." Isabella smiled at Vanessa like they were sharing a private joke. "How convenient." "Isabella!" Vanessa's voice had an edge now, a warning. "Relax, cariño. I'm just getting to know him." Isabella turned back to Daniel, leaned in. "We should talk more tonight, just the 2 of us. I think we'd understand each other." Daniel held her gaze. Let 3 seconds pass. Then he said, calm and clear, in Spanish that came out smoother than either woman had ever heard from him, "Ya nos entendemos perfectamente." We already understand each other perfectly. The wine glass slipped from Isabella's fingers and shattered against the table. Vanessa's face drained white. "Daniel," she whispered. "You—" "Sorpresa," he said, smiling. The voice is still calm, still terrifyingly calm. Surprise. Nobody moved. The waiter hovered near the shattered glass, unsure whether to clean it up or disappear. "Wait," Isabella said, laughing too fast, too high. "This is— You speak Spanish?" "Since I was 5. Daniel's voice didn't rise. That was the part that scared Vanessa more than yelling would have. "My grandmother raised me. You'd know that, Vanessa, if you'd ever asked." "Daniel, I can explain." "Explain what?" He turned to her fully now. "Explain that you just agreed to hand me over like a company asset? Or explain how many times you've done this before, in front of me, thinking I was too stupid to understand?" "It's not what it sounded like. It sounded like you were selling me for a loan." His voice cracked once, just once, before he steadied it. "In Spanish. At dinner. While I ate tiramisu 3 feet away." Isabella recovered fast, reaching for damage control. "Daniel, this is business. Grown-up arrangements. You wouldn't understand the pressure we're under." "I understand perfectly." He didn't even look at her. His eyes stayed on his wife. "How many times, Vanessa?" She didn't answer. "How many times have you sold pieces of me to save your company?" Her mouth opened, closed. Tears came, but they looked rehearsed even to her. "The company is everything I've built, Daniel. Everything. If it collapses, we lose the house. We lose. So you decided I was what you could afford to lose instead." Silence. Real silence. The kind that makes a restaurant feel like a courtroom. Daniel stood, straightened his blazer, looked at both women like he was memorizing something he'd need to prove later. "You have 1 week," he said, "before your investor gala, right, Vanessa? The big relaunch?" She stared at him, afraid to ask why that mattered. "Enjoy it," he said. He walked out without looking back, past the shattered glass, past the waiter, past 15 years of assuming his wife would never do something like this. Behind him, he heard Isabella hiss in Spanish, forgetting even now that he understood. "Esto es un problema, Vanessa. Un problema muy grande." This is a problem, Vanessa. A very big problem. He almost laughed. She had no idea how big. Daniel didn't go home. He drove straight to his mother's house, sat at her kitchen table like he used to as a teenager when the world felt too big. Maria took one look at him and set down her dish towel. "What happened?" "Nothing." "Daniel." She sat across from him, folded her hands. "I've known you for 32 years. Talk." So he told her. All of it. Isabella's words, Vanessa's answer, the wine glass, the walk out. Maria's face didn't soften with pity. It hardened with something closer to fury. "That woman," she said quietly. "I told you 3 years ago something felt wrong. The way she'd go quiet on the phone. The way she stopped asking about your day. You never said wrong like this." "Because I didn't know it was this." She reached across the table, gripped his hand. "You did the right thing tonight. Understand me. The right thing. Now you finish it properly. Not with anger. With proof." Sophia called him at midnight. "I pulled everything I could find on Isabella Cruz's company tonight," she said. "Daniel, this isn't just a gross power move at dinner. I found 3 shell entities tied to her investment arm, companies that take equity from struggling founders in exchange for loans with conditions that never show up in the actual contracts, verbal conditions, like tonight. So it's not the first time. It's not even close to the first time. There's a pattern going back 6 years, and Daniel," she paused, "I've found something else. Your house." "What about it?" "Vanessa refinanced 8 months ago. You co-signed the original mortgage, but the refinance? Isabella's company holds a 40% lien on the property. It's buried in a clause labeled Strategic Partnership Collateral. You didn't sign it. Vanessa did, alone, using a limited power of attorney she had from when you were traveling for the Denver project." Daniel sat very still. "She used a POA. I forgot I even signed to give away part of our house. To a woman who just tried to buy you for a night." He closed his eyes. Somewhere between the restaurant and this exact moment, sadness had curdled into something colder, steadier. "The gala's in 6 days," he said. "I know. Can you have everything ready by then?" Sophia's voice didn't waver. Daniel, I'll have more than ready. I'll have enough to end both of them in one night. The ballroom glittered. Investors, press, champagne towers, a banner that read Cruise Rise Ventures, the next chapter. Vanessa stood at the podium in a dress that cost more than Daniel's first car, practicing her smile. She hadn't invited him. She hadn't expected him to come. He walked in at 8:47, dressed sharp, calm, unhurried, heads turned. Not because people recognized him, but because he moved like a man who belonged there more than anyone else in the room. Vanessa saw him from the podium, and her champagne glass trembled in her hand. Daniel, she mouthed. He just smiled and found a seat near the front. Isabella spotted him next, leaned toward her assistant, whispered something urgent. Security started drifting his way. Daniel didn't move. I didn't need to. Vanessa began her speech, growth numbers, vision statements. None of this would be possible without the extraordinary partnership of Isabella Cruz. Actually, Daniel said, standing, voice carrying clean across the microphone-quiet room, I have a surprise for my wife, since it's a night for celebrating partnerships. A ripple of laughter from the crowd. Thinking it was sweet, Vanessa's smile was frozen concrete. Daniel, now isn't. It'll only take a minute. He walked to the AV table where Sophia stood, already connected to the projector, laptop open. He nodded once. The screen behind Vanessa lit up. Audio began to play. Isabella's voice, unmistakable, filling the ballroom. ¿Él entiende algo de esto? English subtitles rolled beneath it in real time. Does he understand any of this? Vanessa's voice right after. No, ni una palabra. No, not a word. The room went quiet in that specific way rooms go quiet right before they explode. Esta noche, él es tuyo para dar. Tonight, he's yours to give. Está bien. Esta noche es tuya. Fine. Tonight, he's yours. Someone in the crowd gasped audibly. A journalist near the back was already typing. An investor stood, said something sharp to his colleague, and walked toward the exit. Isabella lunged toward the AV table. Turn that off. This is a private conversation. This is recorded in a public restaurant, Daniel said calmly, where you decided to negotiate my body like a loan term. Vanessa's hand shot out toward him from the podium, her composure finally cracking wide open. Daniel, please! Daniel didn't stop. There's more, he said, nodding again to Sophia. A new document filled the screen. Property records, a lien, a signature that wasn't his. This is the deed to my house. 40% of it now belongs to Isabella Cruz's investment firm. Through a refinance my wife signed using a power of attorney I gave her for a work trip, not for handing our home to a stranger. Gasps again. A reporter near the front was already on her phone, voice low and urgent. And this? Sophia pulled up a folder of names, contracts, dates. Isabella Cruz has done this before. 6 other founders, over 6 years. Loans with unwritten conditions. People traded like collateral to keep companies afloat. I have copies for anyone in this room who wants them. Legal counsel is already reviewing 3 of these cases. Isabella's face had gone the color of the tablecloths. 2 investors were already at the door, phones to their ears. A third was talking to hotel security about removing her from the premises before this becomes a liability issue. By 9:15, Cruz Reyes Ventures had lost its lead investor. By 9:20, it had lost its second. Vanessa stood frozen at the podium, mic still live, catching every whisper rippling through the crowd. Daniel walked toward the exit. Didn't rush. Didn't look back until she called his name one more time, quieter now, stripped of performance. Daniel, I made a mistake. A terrible mistake, but we can fix this. We can talk. He stopped, turned. There's nothing to fix, Vanessa. You didn't make a mistake tonight. You made a decision. The mistake was 7 years ago when you married someone you never planned on actually knowing. He left her standing under the banner that read, The Next Chapter, her company collapsing in real time behind her. He got home before her, packed one bag, left the folder Sophia had prepared. Divorce papers already drafted, already dated, on the kitchen counter. Vanessa arrived past midnight. Mascara ruined. Voice hoarse from damage control calls that hadn't worked. She saw the folder, saw him standing by the door, coat already on. Where will you even go? She asked, quiet, defeated. Daniel picked up his bag. Somewhere you were never invited. The door closed behind him. Soft, final. No slam needed. 6 months later. The office was small. One room above a bakery, a drafting table, a window that caught good afternoon light. On the door, fresh gold lettering, Reyes Architecture. Daniel stood back, looked at it, and let himself smile for the first time in a long time. "You're staring at a door like it owes you money," Sophia said, walking in with 2 coffees. "Just making sure it's real." "It's real. I did the paperwork myself, remember?" She handed him a cup, glanced around at the half-unpacked boxes. "Your mother wants to know if you're coming to Sunday dinner, or if you're going to keep living like a man allergic to vegetables. Tell her I'll be there." He looked at the blueprints spread across the table. His first solo client, a family wanting to rebuild a home that had burned down the year before. Something about starting over for someone else felt right. Vanessa's name still showed up sometimes. A headline here, a mention there. Cruz Reyes Ventures had folded within 2 months of the gala. 3 of Isabella's other victims had come forward once the story broke, and a class action was underway. Vanessa kept a low profile now, working a mid-level job at a firm that used to court her for partnerships. People who once fought for her attention didn't return her calls anymore. Daniel didn't check often. I didn't need to. The silence used to feel like something was missing. Now it just felt like peace. His phone rang. A new client referred by a friend of Sophia's. He answered, professional, warm, steady in a way he hadn't been in years. Sophia watched him from across the room, smiling to herself, saying nothing. Not yet. There was no rush. Some things, unlike a marriage built on convenience, were worth building slow and building right. Daniel ended the call, looked up and caught her eye. She thought silence meant weakness. She was wrong.